Welcome back, Wolfpack Brolis here, and this is how to use Kricketune. So Kricketune is going to be a Pokemon with low base stats. 77 hit points and 50s on the defenses means you're not really going to be able to tank out too much. 65 speed means we're not really finding any outspeeds, and 85 attack means, well, we're not going to hit too much hard. So Kricketune, going to be a very, very difficult Pokemon to use competitively. Might have to have some kind of gimmick or something, and that's going to make it kind of tough. Looking at its typing, it's a pure bug type, so we have flying, rock, and fire weakness, and then fighting, ground, and grass resistances. So it's just kind of pretty balanced that we have 3 weaknesses, 3 resistances, and that's kind of all we're getting out of it. Now, before we look at anything in Pokemon Showdown, I got curious. I decided to go into the Pokemon Global link to find out how people are using Kricketune, and all 3 of the people that have brought Kricketune to the battle spot, they can't even make up their mind. What do you want from me? Hopping into Pokemon Showdown, we see that Kricketune is going to have a Focus Sash in a lot of situations, and then we saw that on the battle spot, that everyone brought a Focus Sash, and that's because Kricketune, it's going to do some kind of setup gimmicks that you have Sticky Web and Endeavor. So the idea is you trade Sticky Webs, or you trade like some kind of, they do a Stealth Rock, they do some kind of setup, you get your setup with Sticky Web, and then you at least try to knock them down to 1 hit points really quickly, that you're expecting just get outsped, take a lot of damage, and then you go for the Endeavor. Or if you're somehow faster, like they're opening like a really slow, really bulky Pokemon, you can throw Taunt on them, that way you can prevent setup, you can use Knockoff to remove their item, and then Endeavor them on the following turn. And that's really kind of it. As for the ability, Technician or Swarm don't really do anything for us in this situation, so really you're just kind of going for that support. Best case scenario is you get a Sticky Web off, and your opponent has no item with 1 hit points, and then that's going to be really good for the rest of the team. If you have a team that synergizes well with Sticky Webs, such as a Mega Medicham, or those Pokemon around the 100, anywhere between like 80 and 100 base speed, that just need that speed power with a lot of high damage behind them, they're going to love that Sticky Web, and Kricketune can be good for that. The only other interesting thing that Kricketune can do is Perish Song. That with Perish Song, it's going to be able to set up. You use your Sticky Web, you take damage, then you go for a Perish Song or something after you trade setups. And best case scenario is that your opponent gets greedy, that they try to knock you out before the Perish wears off, and then you just bring in Gothitelle. That Gothitelle is your revenge Pokemon, it's going to trap them in, they're going to go down to that Perish Song, and it does at least give you some time to set up. Now, a Calm Mind Gothitelle is going to be good for this because you just max out hit points, max out defense, go with that bold nature, and then you just go for Calm Minds, get that special defense up really high, and try to win out through your opponents from there. You can go with a Chesto Resto, that tends to work pretty well. Rest Talk is a bit more gimmicky and can also work, and then you can follow it up with a Dark Pulse. Now, the reason why I choose Dark Pulse over something like Psyshock is that Dark Pulse isn't going to get immune. That if they have a Dark-type Pokemon and you're using Psyshock, it's not going to work out, so now we're just more getting into like generic Gothitelle strategies. But overall, you can bring in a Shadow Tag Pokemon. I wouldn't really recommend Mega Gengar because they can still switch out if you're trying to set up that Perish. So it's more of like a super gimmick, but best case scenario, it can actually work out really well. And sometimes, if you maybe switch out Kricketune into the Gothitelle, Gothitelle can eat up that hit, maybe go into some kind of other sustain, bring in Kricketune later for that 1 hit point Endeavor, because we're still going to be running it like max hit points, max speed, and then whatever nature. Since we don't have any offenses, it doesn't matter if you're timid or jolly, and that's kind of it. The only other interesting thing I thought Kricketune could be good for is a very gimmicky Perish Doubles. Now, since it does have Endeavor and Perish Song and a lot of other things up its sleeve, Kricketune can be pretty nasty. My idea is first turn, you just lead Trick Room. So, for example, we have another Gothitelle, and you can use any Trick Room Pokemon with this, really. You go into that Kricketune, first turn, you just use Endeavor. You try to Endeavor a Pokemon, you expect to take hits, you expect to be down to 1 hit points, that if they're going to have like some kind of offensive setup, use Endeavor, drop an opponent to 1 hit points. After that, your Trick Room is going to go off, and then you Endeavor the other Pokemon, thus make it to where now they have 2 Pokemon at 1 hit points, and you go for the Rock Slide. So Rock Slide is going to be interesting because it doesn't matter, or any kind of move, like Snarl, something that hits both opponents. So Gothitelle with Rock Slide would be really interesting, but I just like Gothitelle because it's a very tanky, very reliable Trick Room Pokemon, and it does have access to a double hitting move like Rock Slide. So, interestingly enough, this can actually work for its own little set of shenanigans. So now you're knocking out your opponent before they can do anything to you, because Kricketune is still going to be at 1 hit points. So now what you want to do is you want to make sure that Kricketune is slower than your Gothitelle. That way the Endeavor goes off first under that Trick Room, Gothitelle gets a Rock Slide, both your opponents go down, and now you can use Perish Song. So you still have Trick Room, you're going to be able to use Perish unless they have priority, then you're still going to be good to go, and then Gothitelle can just kind of like stall out with Rest and Protect. So you just rest, you stay at full hit points, and you wait for the Perish Song to knock out your opponents, which is why you don't really need Gothitelle for its Shadow Tag ability and all this, but overall any Trick Room Pokemon that can hit both can work. So try to go for that, and that's really it for Kricketune. Now you either go for like the craziest Perish gimmick. Please submit this to Fan Fridays if you want to pull it off. You will get a feature in Fan Fridays. And other than that, you know, Bug Bite, it's extra damage options. Maybe just go for that Protect. That way you can also scout out if they're going to go for priority. Maybe have some follow-up with there. And again, this is kind of just like whatever you want to put here. Go with Rest. You can have a Pokemon with Recover like Reuniclus. Reuniclus can do good with Recover. It has some damaging options as well. So we're just looking at some really silliness for the Kricketune, but again, in the end, you can get a nice sticky web set up into Endeavor, maybe have some kind of Perish shenanigans going on. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that Heal Bell on Kricketune is just going to help Gothitelle wake up, so it's like a free full hit points, then you can go back into the Protect or whatever, so you do have some Cleric potential, just in case maybe you get status or something, and that's kind of it. So if you want to wake up, maybe even have some offenses on Gothitelle. On that, you're pretty much just doing a lot of indirect damage through Endeavor and Perish Song. That's kind of it, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's how you use Kricketune and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and I hope you all have a nice day.